Hi. Want to talk a little bit about the making of the first Source Wars machinima. The first Source Wars machinima, Counter-Strike versus Garry's Mod. It's probably my personal favorite out of all the old work that we've done. And the idea originally came from the sequel to another of our really old machinimas, Dirty Gary. Something very old, nothing worth watching. And we had written a lot of stuff down for a sequel. And one of the scenes in the sequel was that Gary gets teleported to a game of Counter-Strike. And he's on the counter-terrorist team. And to prove himself, he's going to go take on all the terrorist team by himself and using Garry's Mod methods. And so we had stuff like the remover gun joke in there, hitting people with a cinder block in midair, all that kind of stuff. And really, all it took was, we had this script for Dirty Gary 2, and there were a few really good ideas, the Counter-Strike scene being one of them, but the rest just simply did not work. I could not see it being a decent project, being something worth making. And so basically, for the longest time, we sat on this script, didn't know what to do with it, and eventually we converted it into a new concept. I had this Counter-Strike scene, and I was like, well, this is really good, you know, how exactly can we apply this into something else? And basically I just started thinking of things like MXC, and a lot of like those sports shows. I think something on G4 TV a long time ago. I can't think of the name of it. They always there were teams playing Unreal, and there were these two commentators, and we were making fun of a lot of the announcers for like the Counter-Strike competitive league. You know, there were actually a lot of commentators for the big Cal-I matches and things like that in Counter-Strike. And so we just wanted to do something from that, and we took all these ideas from the Garry's Mod Counter-Strike thing, and it's like, shit, I got an idea. Source Wars. And you'd be surprised, we've actually done this a number of times in the past too, with the Team Fortress 2 Western. Originally it was going to be a Counter-Strike Western, but the Counter-Strike ideas just didn't really work. The concept just wasn't really coming out to be something worth making, and so I had thought, well, hey, Team Fortress 2 is this great game, why not make it in that instead? And sure enough, then we had the Team Fortress 2 Western, and we had the door open to all sorts of new jokes. You know, all the Team Fortress 2 jokes that we had. Same with Source Wars, all the Garry's Mod and Counter-Strike jokes that we had. And once we had thought of that Source Wars idea, the rest was history. And it took, I mean, we got a lot of content into those two Source Wars videos, so it would be very hard to make a third. To make a third would require a lot to top the first two, because I think the first two are quite extraordinary, and they are just full of good shit, in my opinion. So that's the story of how the first Source Wars came out to be. Have a pleasant afternoon.